G'day guys, Julius from Passion for Performance here, down at Possumwall Motorsport on a pretty miserable windy Sunday. I am finally going to be getting into actually working on my car. The first thing I've done is put some nice rubber gloves on. And I'm going to rid my car of what I found from the previous owner in the center console. So the rest of the plan for today is to start stripping the motor and the engine bay. The motor that's in the car is going to be perfect to use as a dummy, so I can actually start doing the turbo setup before my actual engine is complete. So I'm just going to pull the radiator out, the intake manifold off, and a whole lot of other little bits and pieces around the engine, so I can start looking at the exact position I'm going to mount my turbo in. At this stage, I'm thinking of doing something a little bit different and mounting the turbo in front of the engine, so I can have it really short, or as short as possible, header runners, and that's going to help, or should help, the turbo come on boost a bit earlier. Been slaving away for the last 2 or 3 hours on this thing. You can see that I've removed the radiator, removed the battery, all of the air conditioning system, the factory washer bottles. There's a few airbox accessories over here that I've removed. Obviously the intake, the factory manifold has come off, the radiator, and again the core for the air conditioning, that's all been pulled out. This block that's actually in this car has the same bolt pattern to bolt the intake manifold on that I'm going to be using off the GRB. So I've bolted that on just to dummy sort of test it up. I've chucked my 3-inch throttle body on, and also I've just test fit my alternator, and I'm using a Kind Fab alternator mount for this, and this just allows the alternator to be moved out of the way, so I've got a bit more space for the intercooler piping from that throttle body. The reason I've dummied this stuff up is because I just wanted to check the clearance between the throttle body and the alternator itself. This is a larger throttle body than factory, and this is also probably isn't designed to be used in exactly this configuration. I just wanted to make sure that this was going to fit, and I think it's going to be pretty tight once I've got a connector on here and on here, but it's in the realms of I'm going to be able to make it work somehow, so that's quite good. The reason I've pulled the full cooling system out is because I'm going to be making a complete new cooling system, but also I'm very strongly considering the fact that I could put the turbocharger somewhere in the front here, down in front of the engine. Now that's something that's a little bit uncommon, but it's becoming more and more common, and the reason I want to do that is so I can have really short runners between the engine and the turbocharger itself, and what that's going to mean is you lose less heat energy through the extractors and you get more of that heat into the turbo. You can make a bit more power and definitely get more response. One thing that I'm going to have to do in the near future sometime is I'm going to have to remove the factory throttle cable. So I'm not using a throttle cable anymore. I'm going to be using drive-by-wire, also known as e-throttle, an electronic throttle, and to use that I need a foot position sensor that's going to take basically a reading or an input from my foot, how much throttle and how much power I want. That gets given to the ECU. The ECU makes a calculation based on a few parameters and power level, I guess the map that I want, that will determine how much power it wants, and that will tell the throttle body how far to open. This intake manifold is off a GRB 2.5 litre engine. I have modified it a little bit. I've shaved basically all of the normal studs or spuds or whatever you want to call them, where you bolt stuff to for, you know, top mount intercoolers and all of that kind of stuff. I've shaved all of that off to some degree, and also this plenum here has I guess a second chamber inside it which I've ground out, and that's just allowed I guess a little bit more volume in the chamber, and I have enlarged the intake area of it just to suit this 3-inch throttle body, because the factory one is only 2 3/4 inch, and it's not a massive difference, but I believe that difference should make it a little bit more snappy without being too big and too aggressive and making it a bit lame to drive.